Locked On Guardians, take 3. Today's episode, I'm trying my reverse jinx magic. It's 11-2 in the 7th. Hey, let's see how well this can go. If the Guardians manage a comeback tonight, extremely unlikely, then I officially am magical. Tune in and find out if I am magic or not on today's Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. I'm your host, Jeff Ellis, formerly of Scott, formerly of 24/7, now all of Locked On. Before that, I was a lead draft and prospect analyst for Scout and I think I already said that, for Scout and 24/7. And then I was a prospect writer and draft writer for Indians Baseball and Indians Prospect Insider, appearing on the Cleveland Fan, waiting for next year. Pretty much, back when Did the Tribe Win Last Night was a site. I feel like a lot of the sites, Burning River Baseball, I was on their podcast for trivia back in the day. There was all sorts of things. And hey, look, a hit. I came in. That's something. There was a hit just occurred in this one, which in a game like this, you take it. But again, I'm your host. I want to thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get podcasts. And, a Miles Straw hit, bonus points, right? So let's get into a few things. One, I want to thank EJ Fink, because I said I'd thank anyone who left a review, even if it was a 1-star review. It's the nicest 1-star review in a way, because he said I'm an actual baseball mind and I'm knowledgeable, and he's just tired of the pessimism. And there are two big points in here, multiple big points in here I want to kind of tackle, because I understand where he's coming from. One, it is hard to be positive right now with the stretch it's been. Two, I thought I was kind of balancing it. Maybe I'm doing poorly. I would like to hear from the rest of the listeners. Let me know by talking about the prospects. Talking about the great and interesting story that is Micah Pyers, talking about, the players that are Joey Cantillo, and trying to balance out some of my issues with the team right now with the minor league positivity. And also trying to laugh at things when they turn this dark, where you're about ready to lose 3 in a row to the Tigers. And then the other part being, yes, I bagged on Ahmed, and honestly, of all the things I did this year, that's probably the one that I look back on with, I don't know if I want to say regret. My co-host is here, by the way. He's about ready to not be here. Because here's the thing. I like to look at track records, and I talked about that. That's why I was kind of negative on Owen Miller, because we didn't have a track record coming into this year. And then, what has happened has happened. But with Ahmed, he had a track record. And yes, I still bag on him at shortstop because he's not great there. And they have some better internal options defensively. But in fairness, I should have just counted on him being Ahmed, right? I did not give him the same leeway I've given Franmil Reyes, for instance, right? Like, I've sat here and been like, okay, Franmil's going to figure it out. He's Franmil. Ahmed is what he is. At the end of the day, he has actually played shortstop better this year than the past few years. I think he's league average. I think looking at metrics, John Grimm, you were right, I was wrong. I don't think I ever got back to you on that. I kind of looked at it the wrong way. And I like to poke fun and make fun of Ahmed's defense. Like, I like to poke and make fun of many things. But I was unfair to Ahmed. That's just the truth. And I should have leaned into, he's going to do what he does every year. Like, right now he's hot. He is going to cool down again. And then he's going to get hot again. And he's going to end the year with just about a 100 runs created plus. He's going to be league average. He's going to be worth, since his defense is a tick up this year, he might end up being a 4-win player. There's value in that. And I was unfair to him. That's, I'll just own that. I'm not going to apologize for the Tito stuff, and I'm getting a lot of pushback because my negativity with Tito. And do I think I would be a good manager? No. Because there's so much of managing is actually nothing that occurs once the game begins. Baseball is weird compared to literally every other sport, because it's not really a matchup game outside of lefty righty or knowing this guy is bad against traditionally but the problem is if I know this guy traditionally has not hit well off of this pitcher, it's a small sample size, so it actually doesn't really help that much. Baseball is more a game in terms of managing about what happens before the game even starts. And in that stuff, that is where Tito's at his best. I will stand, though, the one thing that is also kind of great about baseball is when it comes to lineups, because there isn't, I don't have to know about like vertical leaps and what corner can run with this guy and which guy can't, and knowing that there's a depth to saying like a football or baseball or basketball where a worse team can definitely beat a better team consistently if they just certain ways they match up. Like the overall talent on one team might be higher, but the matchup advantages go with the first one. Baseball is more of a sport where it's like, ooh, I was like, is that Sandy Leon? Okay, so can we talk about the fact that like we now have another position player? Like the pitching has been so pitiful. I'm sorry, I know I'm trying to be less negative. I mean, twice in a week. Yikes. I thought that was getting out, though, I'll be honest. But, I'm kind of learning to love Sandy right now. He's built like me, and he's got 7 career pitching appearances. Good for him. 6 with the Marlins last season. I had no idea. But I'm kind of learning it because Sandy, he's also, I'm going to have to. Sorry, I did the sneeze there because especially on the YouTube, no one wants to see me shooting snot rockets. But, and sorry, I know that the SN word can be just setting people off in terms of sounds. I mean, Sandy Leon's been the most effective pitcher of the night so far. But lineups are one of those things that anyone who's really has a depth of knowledge of the game can do, like can understand and how they work. And I'm not going to degrade my knowledge and the time I've spent. I mean, we're at almost 800 of these episodes now. And then before that, all of the writing and all of the, friends I have in the game and outside of the game, where I'm just going to turn off everything I know and say, no, it's the right call to play this guy in this spot. And again, the Ahmed stuff, I will full on admit I'm wrong. I'm not going to, the Ernie Clement things are mind boggling. The rigid adherence to platoons. Again, when you have Jordan Luplow, those are great. When you have that legit, even when you had Brandon Geyer, who was a solid, is Leon going to have a perfect inning? That's fantastic. Just one of the 3 stars of the game right there. That is an area I'm going to say negative on. Like I said, I can admit when I have issues. It's one of the big things I think you have to in this game. Like you have to learn and grow. And there are things I've blatantly missed in the past, and I've called myself out on it. My most famous one is I put Court Phelps and Jason Kipnis, and this was early in my career in defense, but I put them on the same plane in terms of prospect value. But there's other things I absolutely hit on. I was first to the game with like guys like Andrew Benintendi, Alec Munea. I absolutely was the first person to rank him as a top 30 draft prospect. There's things I can hit on. And I am going to have issues with the way Tito puts these lineups together and the over-reliance on platoons. And I'm sorry if that bothers you. And there's a lot of people who are very defensive about that. And, I understand. Tito has been a rock in Cleveland, and he is, in some respects, been the biggest name with Cleveland baseball over the last 10 years, even more so than, like, their stars, because of his own experience and his own background. But that's not going to change. I will try to be a little less pessimistic, and hey, maybe EJ said he would actually promote the show, and if I wasn't socially inept, which, I mean, listen, I've been saying my whole life I'm socially inept. It's just part of being a little bit off. It's not really an insult. I don't know if you meant it as an insult, but hey, I mean, you can't insult me with what I've always said about myself. So, but I appreciate him saying I'm knowledgeable. I get the negativity can be too much, but it's hard to find things to be positive about right now with this Cleveland Guardians team. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. I need to hear from more people because, it does worry me when I do get the 1-star review. Also, if you've not left an iTunes review, now is a good time to leave one if you enjoy the show, because the 1 star is just being sitting there on the, is the last review. Not the best look for me. So I would appreciate anyone who goes in and does that. And as always, I shout out anyone, good or bad. And again, this wasn't, nobody tracked down this guy and be a jerk. This wasn't a situation like the Braves fan who I dared say Jose Ramirez is better than Austin Riley, so I got a 1-star review, or the guy a year ago who called me names. So this is. I mean, he has, some. I understand where he's coming from, and I'll try to address it. He is not the first person to call me out on negativity, and I understand that when things are not going great, it is hard to be positive. Unfortunately, the other truth with this is, and the thing I have to fight with as part of the media, blog, whatever you want to call this, is negativity sells. That's just the unfortunate truth too, especially in Cleveland. Negativity sells, and I watch to make sure I am not being over the top just for the sake of views. Again, I'd really like to hear from people, get feedback. Am I not doing enough with the prospects? Do I have to find something positive in every game? What do listeners want? I always want to evolve this show. So I do. I read all of these comments because I want to evolve the show to make it a better show. And I want to evolve the show to make it something that all the fans like. We're going to take our first break, come back, and talk about this game in a moment. And that first fantastic sponsor is BlueNile.com. They have been with us over the course of multiple years, and what I always say is Blue Nile wants to make your life easier. I guess I've never actually said that before. What I always say is they make jewelry that it stands out in a crowd, is interesting, and it's not cookie cutter, but they also want to make your life easier. I don't know jewelry. I know you're shocked looking at me right now, but they have people 24/7 to help you out, to help you figure out that one-of-a-kind engagement ring, or to find the piece of jewelry to let someone know how much you care. And they are set 24/7 to help you find, go through that large amount catalog they have of really interesting, original, beautiful jewelry and find the right one for you. And right now, you make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. That's 10% if you're spending $500? This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use code LOCKEDON. That's code LOCKEDON. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Okay, and then I know some people get tired of it. The pronunciation thing. It came up again on YouTube, so just very quickly with the pronunciation thing. I am dyslexic. I am ADD. I have a learning disability. I was also a kid who ended up in, to the other side of it, in honors classes. I worked my own way through life and figured out how things work in my mind. Now, I am also the person who, when I read my daughter a Frozen book, because she loves it, I will go between Anna and Anna, or when we read Beauty and the Beast, Philip and Philippe. So it's just something in my head. So I'm going to apologize again. I know there are people out there. I really wish I'd shout out the guy who's like, no, that happens to me as well. It really made me feel nice in that moment where it's like, no, this is a real thing. It happens to a lot of us. But I have almost like a word blindness with, I can't read pronunciation keys, for instance. I've only recently, I'm 40. It wasn't until the last 2 to 3 years. There's something there with the dyslexia and ADD. So it's not laziness. It is just my own disability. So I apologize if that bothers you. It is interesting to me because, I love how stuff works. And, those guys are terrible about it. They joke about it. I loved how did this get made? Paul Scheer is infamous for it. So just put me, I'd love to be in that company. Put me with those people. And, just kind of going through these comments here. Well, here's someone, and I want to shout out Bradley Bowling. It's just like my ACD made me, OCD, not ACD. That's a band I saw in Cleveland. That was AC/DC that I saw in Cleveland many years ago. But, here's someone who Bradley Bowling, to go back to that just his OCD made him comment. And then, but someone, the comments, I always respond, but a lot of people are kind of in that negative ditch with me. It's hard right now. It's just a hard situation because I think what makes everything worse, honestly, is one, Detroit. I mean, Detroit's bad. This is just frustrating because Detroit's been they're on pace to be one of the worst offenses in baseball like history, not just baseball history. And they put an 11 spot up tonight, and they crushed the Guardian. They put up like more runs in this 3 games so far, and they put up in June almost. And the Guardians are just getting absolutely bashed here. Depending on how things go, I mean, we could end the day with the Guardians only being a game up on the White Sox. They're getting close to, if we assume the loss, they'll be just a game over 500 when this is over. And they were so good. It's just frustrating overall. And I think what adds to that frustration is if you listen to the show, if you, you follow the minors at all, there's such good talent down there that just call some guys up. Let's the call up I was not hoping, and then the bullpen. Like this, so the starters aren't going deep. The bullpen's getting overused. The bullpen, and this isn't a knock on Tito. It's just the truth, man. The bullpen's getting used heavily. The starting pitching is continuing to be, maybe even more so than catcher, the biggest issue on this team. And we have this situation where it's just yo-yoing constantly. Nick Sandlin up today with Pilkington and. Pilkington came off and Young came off. Young was essentially the 27th man, I think, in the end, and then Pilkington sent down to get Sandlin, and a rough day for him in his return. It's great seeing all the Larry Doby stuff today. It's still kind of crazy to think how long it took him to be inducted into the Hall of Fame with his impact overall in the game. And back in the offseason, I talked about a really interesting piece I had read that, like, at the end of Babe Ruth's career, how he wanted to go into management, but he had such a bad reputation, no team would bring him in, and Cleveland was one of the teams that considered him for a bit. And like the article I read talked about this idea that they would have broken the color barrier a lot quicker with that, because his experience in New York and in like the Cotton Club and places like that he was someone. Now again, you can totally correct me. Sorry, I'm just looking at the Clement stats on the screen. 186, yet he's playing almost every day. Because I understand the game's out of reach. This is fine. This is pinch hitting for Jose. Jose needs to be out of this game. This game is essentially over. We're just kind of playing out the motions. When you have a pitcher or a position player pitching starting in the 7th inning, you're not even trying. This is the second wave the white flag game we've had in the last 3. This is absolutely the right move. So I'm just going to be quiet. This is 100% what you do. Jose needs the rest. I am kind of waiting to see if we get an update on Naylor. I have not personally gotten an email upload date from the Guardians. I think I'm still on the media list. I don't think I've offended them enough to be taken off. But yeah, this lineup needs an injection. It needs some young players to come in and maybe just help push it along. As you look at them right now, it's an ugly lineup today. And especially with the idea that we kind of know Jose is hurt. We know he is hurt. There's no other way around it. Quan has been, he's solid but unspectacular. Ahmed has been very good of late. Franmil has been better of late. Andres, we're seeing a slight decline, let's be honest. And he had a rough throwing error. He's up to 6 on the year. Now, errors are not the end-all, be-all defensive stat, not by far. Oof. Man, Franmil was trying to tie the game up with that swing. Unfortunately, it would have only been a 2-run home run, but he was trying for 9. And you just get in the bottom of the lineup. Like, Owen Miller, I know he had an RBI, but it's still, the decline is there. The decline is real. Let's do the usual. Let's do our who reached base twice so far in this game. Who are the players that reach base multiple times? Well, since they have 0 walks, which is an issue, that means nobody. Unless I missed someone getting hit by a pitch, which was, one on each side. But I believe, nobody reached base twice in this one. Box score bingo. 7 hits for Cleveland, no walks, 1 error, 8. So on 8, they should get about, you're thinking close to 3, but 2 is about right for 8. The 2 extra base hits as well, that's about right. On the other side of things, 13 hits. They also managed 5 walks. That's 18 there. Of course, I got Cleveland's wrong. because it's 7-8 and then 9 with the hit batter. So they should have 3 runs. But Detroit, 13 hits, 5 walks, that's 18. 2 errors is 20. Hit batter is 21. That should be 7 runs. Instead, it is 11. Just like I said, you go through it the pitching wise. Quantrill, the errors cost him, but it was not a super sharp outing for him. Sandlin it's interesting because he didn't walk anyone, which was his big bugaboo before he got sent down, but he still gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits. It was a pretty poor outing. Henches, that ERA continues to go up. I don't know if it's teams getting better video now. I'm not sure exactly what is the overall occurrence, but it has not been as clean for him of late. He has struggled a little bit more. Just watching the bloop right there. It is kind of funny just to watch them here with the runners on the corners situation, especially because, I was like, oh no, this is the right call, go get Clement. So of course, when I agreed with it, single, just saying, and then Mercado gets the bloop, and it's like everyone I've been complaining about doing well as I'm recording. Pitching wise, yeah, this is ugly, and I don't know what they're gonna do, because do you call up Sandlin for him to stay? Do you keep doing this shuffle? Let's be honest, a big roster move needs to come. Off day Thursday, something should be coming. Either we'll know more about Naylor by then, or at this point in time, just looking at the schedule before All-Star break, Kansas City and the White Sox. Go, just DL Jose. Just give him some time off. Figure it out. I know I called it for it yesterday, but I think it's overdue. And try as much as you can to stay near that 500 record. And they still need to be buyers. I said it a year ago, and I'll say it now. This is a team that still needs to be buyers. We're going to talk more about this Cleveland Guardians team. Not necessarily going to say looking ahead to tomorrow's game, but I still think they should win tomorrow. I'm going to say it right now. They're going to win tomorrow. We'll be back in a moment. Listen, I'm telling you, they're winning tomorrow, so you should go to betonline.net, your number one source for all of your sports betting needs. I imagine the lines on things like this are going to be crazy because the Guardians are struggling so much. It's in Detroit. There's every reason to not believe in them. You want to go to find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline.net remains the best option for all of your sports, scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check all of your favorite sports events, including MMA, boxing, baseball, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Bet online, where the game starts. Okay, so as we look at this Guardians team right now, just staring where they are, about to be, a game over 500, dropping 3 to the lowly Tigers, battling injury. What would I do if I was GM? If I was in charge of this team, what would I do? First off, I'm still a buyer. I'm trying to consolidate talent because the 40-man is not an easy situation to navigate. And if you're like, well, there's a lot of guys that are easy cuts. Okay, even if you're like, okay, Clement has shown enough. He's not the Richie Palacios. Man, this guy, I feel like the only time he can get a hit is when there's a runner in scoring position. The data isn't great on him, but every time there's a guy in running position, in scoring position, he seems to come through. Clement, you can argue. I mean, I'm still not necessarily someone who says, yeah, you cut him, but he's near the end of the roster for me. Sandy Leon, obviously someone who can be let go. Mercado, obviously someone who can be let go. So that's 2 easy spots to clear by the end of the year. I'm just talking end of the year stuff. Now, they are going to have to add 2 more guys at some point with Morris and Vargas, so that gives us a net 0. But Hedges is a free agent and Shaw is a free agent at the end of the year. So that's 2 more spots that will open up on this team. I think, and Luke Maley. So that gives you 3 spots that open up. And then who are the other guys who you look at and you're like, okay, maybe Anthony Castro, maybe Alex Young. So that gives us 5 spots. 5 spots to consider adding talented players to this team. And here's the thing. If you're like, okay, well, 5 spots, that may be enough. Just remember, at the end of this year, they need to add Bo Naylor, Will Brennan, So that gets us down to 3 spots. You can debate Beatonfield and Curry. Miklojack, you can debate as well. But you also have to add, and Micah Pyers we can debate. But Hunter Gaddis, Ethan Hankins are debate guys. I thought Espino was this year. Maybe he's next year. Angel Martinez is not a debate to me. Gabriel Rodriguez is a debate. So there's 3 guys that are like must-adds to me. Lenny Torres, you can also put in that debate list. But there's 3 must-adds. So one might say that they don't have to, that they could look another direction. But then again, if you leave Gaddis and Curry off the list, I feel like they're pretty safely selected. Probably Beatonfield as well. But if I was running this team right now, Stephen Kwan is playing every day in right field for me. I'm keeping Miles Straw in center. I know people are mad about Straw. The BABIP is so low. He's been just... What was that? Wait a second. I'm confused. I must have totally... So no, Palacios... Owen Miller had the hit. Wow. Palacios... So, okay, great. This literally was the inning of everyone I crap on playing well. Miller, Clement, and Mercado. Wow, that was just a shove it at me inning. Then Palacios pops up and loses control of the bat. See, this is what happens. I'm recording, not really paying attention. So I was wrong. Palacios is not the guy who comes through. I can't go back and edit that out because I'm not going to be disingenuous. I made a mistake. But yeah, so Palacios. Here's the thing. You got Palacios, you have Clement. They're both backups. You got Owen Miller. He is too. But we got them all playing. And again, part of that today is because this is a game that's out of reach. But they're seeing a lot more time. When you got guys like Oscar hurt, you've got Josh Naylor down. I'd rather see some of the young guys come up. And that's kind of more back to the original point, which is like, what do I do? So I'm keeping Kwan. I'm keeping Straw because defense, what's the old expression? Defense doesn't slump. The BABIP is unlucky. I think he'll get it together. And he has a close relationship with Jose Ramirez. The final outfield spot, I'm telling you, Nolan Jones, Oscar Gonzalez, platoon, get it done, move on. First base, Naylor, fine. DH, Franmil, fine. Second base, Andres, fine. Shortstop, Ahmed. Third base, Jose. Now, if Jose is hurt, this is where we have to kind of think about it. And again, in my world, Ahmed is probably actually not playing short, but I'm just fine with keeping status quo. Andres hasn't played any third this year. And in his career, it's not a position he's got the arm for it. And I feel like he could play there. With Arias' injuries, I don't feel comfortable necessarily projecting him to be the guy to step up and play that spot for this team. It just all comes down to, let's see. I was hoping, oh no, they've only got his advanced feeling on Fangraphs is only Major League stuff, and he played 34 innings in 2020. But if Jose's down, honestly, right now for me, I try him at third. What have you got to lose? Sandy Leon is out there again, just bringing the heat, 76 miles an hour. So with him, with Andres there, I look at this team, it's like part of me is like, well, or is it... I know Nolan Jones hasn't played much this year. It's like, just put Nolan Jones there and call up Will Brennan as well. Call up Alex Call while Oscar Gonzalez is hurt. I'm fine with all of these moves. I just, right now, looking at this team, it's hard. I got, what everyone wants, dead air on a podcast. I'm trying to think how I want to phrase this. It is a weird team. There are some really solid players in there. There's some really underachieving players. And the problem with this team over the past 3 or 4 years has been the integration of young talent. This is the first year we've actually seen it happen successfully. It's been a lot of like, hey, you had a bad week. We're sending you down for a month. Sandy Leon, reliever extraordinaire. Yeah, one of the 3 stars in this game, that's for sure. If we were to go back, I guess I should probably do that. I don't need to do that shtick. This is, one of those games where is there really anyone that makes you feel like you have to, outside of Sandy Leon right now, he gets all 3 stars. He is star 1, 2, and 3 in this game. But getting back to it overall, they're a weird team, right? What do we really feel comfortable saying about them? Well, Jose is an all-star when healthy. Miles Straw is a gold glove center fielder. Ahmed is a slightly better than league average shortstop. Full package. Dirtier than I meant it to be. Franmil should be an above average DH. Steve Kwan looks to be at least a league average outfielder. And Josh Naylor should be an above average first baseman. But the rest of that team, Andres should still be absolutely ridiculous, and setting them all down. Andres should be about a league average to an above shortstop, but he's playing second base, so an above average second baseman. So your infield's good. You still need an outfield spot. Catcher is what it is. But starting pitching, bullpen, okay. Stefan and Henches have been a little up and down. Young players, we kind of expect that. Brian Shaw is nearing the end, hopefully. We got to see what 99 has. Class A is absolutely unbelievable. Starting pitching, Bieber's great. McKenzie can be absolutely brilliant or can be a hot mess. Just needs to figure out the consistency. The rest of the rotation is 5s. 4-5 for Quantrill. Because that's the thing, Quantrill was that guy who looked at the FIP data a year ago and it wasn't that great. We kind of had a feeling anyone who looked at advanced stuff, he probably got lucky to a degree. Now, this is an overreaction this one game. He's been okay, but he's not been as good as a year ago. And he's still a solid starter. Savale, again, 4-5. Plesac, 4-5. That's why if I am GM, I'm considering going out of my way to get a starter. If it's Pablo Lopez in Miami, all the better. And I'm willing to pay a high price. I'm willing to sit down and discuss. I don't know again where Will Brennan's value is. I love him to death, but I'd be willing to discuss him because he's still not a proven guy out there. I'd be willing to talk about. I feel like they probably want more hitters or not. I'd be willing to talk Nolan Jones, and everyone out there knows how much I love Nolan Jones. But I'm willing to sit back and consider those type of guys because I love Espino's talent, but we haven't seen him pitch in how long? Gavin Williams, probably not going to see him for another few years. The Logan Allen, the first call up to AAA didn't go well, but it's one start, who cares? But again, Logan Allen, more outside of Espino and Williams, most of the starting pitching projects as more mid to back end. If you can go out and trade for a guy who's legit too, that's what I go do. I've been Jeff Ellis. This has been Locked On Guardians podcast for today. I want to thank you again to all who listen and give me feedback. I really, honestly, I read it. I follow it. It's part of how I, design this show and think about what I'm going to talk about. Do the Pirates also have... So, this game should just end. The Pirates are we have you beat so badly. I've never seen the winning team have a position player out there pitching. That's a slap in the face. We don't even have to throw a pitcher out there in the ninth. We can throw a position player because we're up 8 and you guys are trash. That's what they're saying. If that doesn't motivate this team, nothing will. They should take this personal. Hey, nice hit there by Melee. Nice double right off near the line. I know I was getting ready to wrap it up, but you should take this personal. And I just did what my wife hates and repeated myself. But you never see this happen. You never see the team who has the lead throwing the position player out there. You never see them saying this team they're so far back and they're so bad at baseball that they can't catch us. That never happens. You might throw your worst reliever in there, but it is never a position player when you are the team in front. And if you are the Guardians, when you get back in your locker room after a loss, because they're probably still going to lose this game, you need to sit back and get mad. You need to sit back and be like, that is the most disrespectful thing a manager has ever done. And they need to come out of the gate tomorrow and just, this could be a unifying moment. They should not be happy about this. This is 100% just absolute slap in the face to this team. I hope they're pissed off because they should be. I am Jeff Ellis. This has been the Locked On Guardians podcast for today. Remember, rate and review, download daily. It helps. And hey, good or bad review, I'm going to say thank you because all reviews help. Subscribe on the YouTubes. Leave comments. I always respond to comments, and I do occasionally call out those comments on the show as well. Thursday, we're going to go... No. Thursday's show will be a little more draft heavy because it's an off day unless we have a bunch of roster moves. Hopefully there will be some. But and as I end every show now, go Guardians go.